Hello, Da Vinci. Welcome back. So this is your history lesson 2 of the week, but this is your part 1 lesson of history for today. So our learning objective is, can I ask and answer simple questions about space travel? So let me just move myself down. What is space travel? So talk to your teddy or talk to your toy. What is space travel? Pause the video, have that discussion. Okay, well, space travel is obviously something where we're traveling into space, and we're going to go and find out more about that now and what it looks like in the past, in history, and what it looks like potentially now. But we'll be coming on to that sooner. So, can you help? Oh, sorry, give me 1 second. Let me just move myself. Can you help explain or can you discuss how we know what is beyond Earth? So, we all live on Earth, or at least I hope we do. We all live on Earth and we know things that are outside our Earth, but how do we know these things? So have that discussion with your teddy or your toy and tell me about how you know or how you think that we know things about outside our planet. So one of the things that is going to help us understand that is that we have gone into space. We've gone into space and we've sent humans in there so that we can find out more. But there's a lot of other things that we've done. So have a think. This is another thinking question, and we're going to come up to all these questions later. Have a think. How do we know that our Earth is a planet? And how do we know it's the shape of a sphere? How do we know that it's round and a sphere shape? How do we know? Have that discussion. Pause the video, have that discussion. So we know all these answers to all these questions because humans have researched about space and they have made stupendous discoveries through space travel. The scientists who study space are called astronomers. Astronomers. Super. So we're now going to look at something that's quite interesting. It's called the space race. So during the 1940s and 1960s, now, oh my goodness, this is 80 years ago if it's 1940s, and then it's 60 years ago if it's 1960s. But during the 1940s to 60s, the USA, which is America, and the USSR, which is now called Russia, was called something else with which was abbreviated to the USSR, but it's what is the country Russia. They were extremely excited to learn about space, so much so that both countries were in a race against each other to see who could complete the first successful space mission. So although these countries were both very excited, they were both against each other. And shortly after the Second World War, they were both eager to use some of the German scientists' rockets to find out how they could get into space. So they were both in a desperate race to try and get to space, to show who was the best country in the world. Was it America or was it Russia? So space travel was extremely dangerous. Nothing of the sort had ever happened in the history of the planet. USA were the first country to lead a successful space mission. Have a think. Who do you think was aboard the spacecraft? Who do you think was on the spacecraft? Talk to you, Teddy. I don't think many will get this. In 1947, the first living thing to enter space were fruit flies. So the type of flies that you'd see eating your fruit that's going off, those are the first. There were a group of fruit flies that were the first to go into space because they were put inside a rocket and they were blasted off into space. Animals were the ones that were sent to space before humans. Animals were used as test subjects to see if a living creature could survive space travel. Animal astronauts led scientists to understand the harsh environment of space. So the reason they did this was they were a bit worried. They didn't want to send a human up to space and panic because they might not survive, they might die. and they weren't sure what was out there. So they sent up animals and they hoped that the animals would come back. And then they monitored the animals. They'd give them a check. They went to first aid to check if they're okay. And they came back that they were okay. So that way they found out, oh, maybe it is safe for humans to go to space. And that information is what led towards humans going to space. Now, this is a timeline of animal astronauts. So the animals that were sent to space. So you can see in red is everything that Russia did, the USSR, and in blue is everything that America did. So in 1947, that's when the fruit flies, the first animal in space. But then 2 years after that, in 1949, Russia, or the USSR, sent Albert II, who was the first monkey in space. Then the next one was in 1957, where we've got Laika, who was the first dog in space. Then you've got Abel and Baker, the first animals to survive a space mission for the the USA, and there were two monkeys here. Then you've got Belka and Strelka, who were sent, and they went with a rabbit, 42 mice, 2 rats, and flies, and they all survived, and that was in 1960. And then in 1961, Ham the chimp was sent by USA, America. Now it's your turn, and I've got 2 questions for you to answer here. Your first question says, how do you feel about animals being sent into space as a form of test subjects? So I need you to either write your answer down, or you could be recorded speaking how you feel. And what it is, it's asking you, do you think it's okay that we sent animals into space to make sure that it was safe for humans, or do you think that was a bit unfair? You have to remember, animals can't say, no, I don't want to go to space, because they can't talk. So what you need to think about, well, was it fair that we decided as humans to send animals into space to see if it was safe when we weren't even sure whether it was safe? They could have died. Some animals did die. But it was all to see whether or not it was safe for humans. Was that fair? That's your first question, whether or not you think it was fair. The second question was, would you have preferred humans to go into space first? So, do you think it would have been better maybe to send humans into space first? And why do you think that? Or do you think it was best to send the animals into space first? And why do you think that? Because I want to find out whether or not you think it was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. And it's all about the history of the animals that went into space. So as I've said here, I want you to write your opinion on a piece of paper and then record it. And then I want you to upload, or you can, I'll write a piece of paper, your answers, or you can record yourself answering the questions. And then I want you to upload your feelings or your opinions of what you think the answer to these questions are, and put them on Tapestry so I can see what everybody thinks about this space race between USA and Russia. Thank you very much for coming to our first history lesson. We've got another history lesson that will be coming out today. I look forward to seeing you in that one. See you later, Da Vinci. Bye-bye.